channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the best movies of 2024, aka my favorites. I love lists like this. I try to make a video here and there about movies. I tend to go more for music reaction videos, but movie is my passion, man. So I'm going to start with quick honorable mentions, which are movies that I enjoyed, but they didn't quite get to a personal level of love for me. Starting with one of the blockbusters of 2024, that is Twisters. I had no expectations going to the movie and it was better than I expected. I was so surprised that I enjoy a blockbuster without caring for minimal details. It's basically about people studying twisters to make better, safe situations for when it happens, or maybe even to avoid them from happening. I like Daisy Edgar Jones from Normal People, and Glenn Powell has been really going at it. I would say that I enjoy him more in Hitman than in here, but still, good movie. The next one is I Used to Be Funny. It stars Rachel Sennett, and it's a story about a comedian who is going through some tough times when all of a sudden she sees that a girl that she used to babysit goes missing. It is a story that is going to go back in time a lot to explain what exactly are those tough times that she's going through. I still think that it can surprise you if you go mostly blindly with just the information that I give you. The next one is A Different Man. Sebastian Stan had a year, okay, with this and The Apprentice. He had a year. He plays a man who has a deficiency, goes through a miraculous surgery that takes that disfigurement, but then he is confronted when the girl that he used to like prior to surgery is doing a play about him. And then a guy who has kind of the same similar condition that he had lives life a little different. It's really about perspective, that movie, and it is a really great introspective time. It kind of is very ironic, I think. Next one is Anora. I think this movie is gonna grow on me with time. It is about a sex worker who gets swept up by this glamorous life of this boy who asks her to be his date for a week, leading to marriage, and things go crazy from there. Next movie is Juror Number 2. The way that this movie really plays with your moral judgment is a little wild. It's about this guy who is asked to do jury duty, and mid-trial he realizes that he might have more a connection to it than he thought he did. Next one is Wicked Little Letters. This is a little British movie. If you liked Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, you will enjoy Wicked Little Letters. It's basically about this lady who starts to receive letters where she's being called of unspeakable things, and she starts to blame her neighbor for it because her neighbor is someone who lives life without shame. She lives freely, especially during 1920s, I would say. When you find out who is writing those wicked little letters, oh man, the movie gets a little, wild, right? And it's quite funny too. Especially, we have Olivia Colman here. How could that? Next is Beatles 64. It's a documentary about the Beatles' first time in America. It goes back and forth in time, so we get to see the perspective of people who were there, how they now perceive that time of their life, especially in the whole Beatlemania thing. Next is All of Us Strangers, about this man who is a writer, and he starts to visit a home that used to be the home where he lived with his parents. His parents had an accident, and then they appear out of nowhere in the house that they used to live. So he starts visiting them constantly, and at the same time there's this neighbor in his building who starts flirting with him, and we quite don't know where that is going to go. Lastly, I want to mention Problemista. Really is a movie about immigration at its core. It's about this young man who goes to America to try to work at a toy factory to make toys and stuff, but he's having a really hard time, and then the job that sponsored him fires him, so he's in a pickle of trying to get a new job before he has to be deported. And when he least expected, someone appears, and he's just not quite ready for what's to come from this person. Beautiful, beautiful movie. Another one that maybe some rewatches to grow me, but from the first watch you can really feel it, and it's so original. I think that Julio Torres is our modern Salvador Dali in a way. Now let's get into the official list. The best movies of 2024. Starting with one that is technically 2023, but it had more of a wide release in 2024, and it is Poor Things. I was sure that I was going to love this movie. It really felt to me like a grown-up Alice in Wonderland, because it is about this woman discovering life for the first time, and she doesn't have a kid's body, she has a grown woman's body. And so she goes through stages a little bit more faster, and one of them is her sexuality. And it's what caused a lot of commotion with people, but I believe that it's not exactly an issue. It can be a little weird, but I think that the movie addresses enough for you to be like, yeah, no, you're doing it right. Bella Baxter is one of the best characters that we had in recent years. Optimism, a dreamer, someone who's very quirky but also who is unapologetic herself, and that's why she says that she went out into the world and she found nothing but pain, because it's hard out there, it is. So I believe that this movie just gives you a lot of hope on being yourself, and more than anything on how to take challenges of life.
I am Bella Baxter, and there is a world to enjoy, circumnavigate.
Next up is Challengers. Look, I'll be honest, when I saw this movie first in cinemas, I was not the biggest fan. I had my issues with it. Challengers being about this trio of tennis players and the dynamics that they have within. It's about power, it's about sex, it's about love, edge, boldness. Zendaya is amazing in this. Josh O'Connor, we don't even talk about it, okay? I know that people will stay between him and Mike Feist, but like, I'm team Josh O'Connor. Not exactly his character, but like the actors. The last time that I watched this, it was actually my first movie of this year already, and I was like, this is better than Sex. This is Challengers, baby. What a high tension, sexy movie.
Aren't you everybody's type?
Come here.
Which one of us?
Next up is Lisa Frankenstein. I was not expecting this movie to be here, even though I was a very avid Tim Burton fan, and this reminds of Tim Burton at times. It's about Lisa, who has a whole new family since her mother passed away, and she kinda goes to the cemetery to take care of people's graves. And one day, one of those graves comes to life. The boy comes to life again. Now she has to take care of him, and especially give him some parts that he's missing. I mean, if you like Edward Scissorhands, I think that it's a good comparison, but it's not as romantic. He's not some creation, but it gives me the nostalgia of good Tim Burton movies. I miss those. I know that he can do it. I love its quirky humor, its 80s aesthetic. Catherine Newton is a star. I saw other movie that had her last year, there was Abigail. Best thing of the movie. Good for Cole Sprouse to be in something else other than Riverdale, I guess. This is the directorial debut of Robin Williams' daughter, Zelda Williams, and you can see her passion for these types of movies. Heathers, Edward Scissorhands. Really excited to see what else she brings to the table.
Your hand? I can't believe you're here.
Next movie that I want to talk about, it's called Babes. And it's just about these two best friends. One of them gets pregnant and you're there for the ride. It really is about that, but for me, it's so much more. For me, this is a rom-com for the girlies, for the BFFs. You have their meet cute, you have the circumstances that ties them together, you have a breakup, and then the reconciliation is all built around the pregnancy of this one friend. Kinda give me Grown Up Juno vibes, but like in the best way. So if that calls your attention, just go for it. One of my favorites, really underrated of last year.
You did not tell me how sexy it is to be pregnant. Were you crazy horny?
Speaking of underrated, we're getting right into Between the Temples. I saw this movie at the start of this year, and I fell in love with it. It's about this cantor who works in a synagogue played by Jason Schwartzman, and he hasn't been able to sing over the past last year since his wife has passed away. Out of the blue, his elementary school teacher, I think, of music reappears in his life saying that she wants to have a bar mitzvah for herself and she wants him to be her teacher. It's just those movies where you put two people together and like they create a special bond like no other, and those are literally my favorite types of movies. wasn't expected to really love it, but what really sells it, it's a dinner scene. It's a beautiful chaos.
Your mother has decided to have her bat mitzvah, and I'm gonna give it to her.
Next up is The Wild Robot. I mean, I think that what really draws me into The Wild Robot is the whole nature conversation that it has, and the modern getting into that space that kinda doesn't belong there. This robot just trying to adapt, surviving in a place where they shouldn't be. They having to take care of this little duck and make them fly. It's a simple story, but it's made with such heart, such tenderness, that it's hard not to love this movie. If you're a weird kid in your classroom, you relate to this. It's just continue to be yourself, stay weird, stay cool.
Do you need assistance?
Still in the realm of animation, I had to mention here Look Back. God freaking damn it, my tear ducts were activated with this one. And I say that because I don't cry a lot when I watch movies. And this one, man, how come a story about two girls who start doing comics together is the most heartbreaking thing I've seen all year? The way that they come together is already unusual, but like what happens in just 1 hour of movie even, it's insane. The animation style, it's a little different from the usual anime too. It's more natural, realistic, so I really enjoy that. And if you are an artist kid, there's no way this won't touch you, it won't relate to you. If you ever had a friend like the way that these two have in the movie, you will shed some tears. You will, definitely.
京本藤野先生は漫画の天才です。
Next up is a movie called Shortcomings. I think that it's a 2023 release, but I also just saw it last year. If I tell you that it's about one of the most insufferable main characters that I've ever seen in my life, it probably won't make you wanna watch. But what is interesting is that the movie acknowledges how he's insufferable. It's about this dude who is in a very long relationship with his girlfriend, and she decides to go to New York to do something for herself, but kind of breaks up with him in the middle of it too. He works at this movie theater for years, but like he doesn't do anything to get out of there. He doesn't do anything to put an effort on doing the things that he wanna do. And so the only friend that he has is someone who is kind of like him, but who is still like not afraid of change. I just love movies that are kind of an essay on a character, and this is definitely one of those.
I know you're gonna want to blame this on society or on your race or whatever, but this really is just about you.
My last movie that I just saw recently too is called A Real Pain. It's about these two cousins who go to Poland to honor their grandmother, to see where she lived before she had to evacuate because of World War II. And the two cousins could not be more different from each other. One is an extrovert, the other is an introvert. It builds off of that conflict between them. Despite their difference, they love each other. It is heartbreaking because we all know one of the cousins that is the extrovert one, Benji, in our lives, that it's someone who is the life of the party, but deep down it has some deep issues, a big trauma that was not resolved and that affect his life deeply. And you're just watching without knowing how to help them. The movie is surprisingly really funny because of Kieran Culkin, and there is also a dinner scene here with Jesse Eisenberg. That damn dinner scenes are really being something this year, isn't it? It reminds me of the end of the tour. It's not related to family, that movie, but the way that the characters play off each other, being these two people conversation. But if you were to compare to one, it reminds me a lot of A Little Miss Sunshine, because it's also a family drama who is very comical at the same time.
It's amazing that you're here, putting yourself out there so boldly for me. Thank you, man. Let's go smoke a joint.
And those were my favorite movies of 2024. If you have seen any of these movies, please comment down below what you felt watching them, what's your opinion on them, and please tell me, what's your favorite movie of 2024? I'm always open to new recommendations, and obviously I have some big names that are not here because I probably didn't get to them, or if I did, it's just not my cup of tea per se. One of them that I have not gotten to, but I know that people have loved it, is Dune Part 2. I didn't even watch Part 1. I'm sorry, I need to get to that. It's just, I'm really hard on science fiction. There's always movies that were left out that could have made it to the list if I had watched them on time, but you know what? I'm pretty happy with my list of this year. I think that they're exceptional movies. They speak a lot about my taste and what I like when I look for in a movie. And so I hope that this list of movies, one of them, speaks to you and makes you wanna watch it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one. Bye!